Amazing game. You know what? Who knows? Maybe we'll get that tonight, because let's move to the NBA Finals, where the Thunder and the Pacers are back on the floor. Here in Indy for Game 4, the Pacers hold a 2-1 lead after winning Game 3 2 nights ago in a Thunder performance that head coach Mark Daigneault described as uncharacteristic. Okay, Mike, does tonight feel like a must-win for the Thunder?
No, not to me. I mean, I know people like to proclaim these things. We've seen people come back from 3-1s. You and I have been courtside to see somebody come back in the finals from 3-1. Yep. We've done it. We've seen it in conference finals in recent years. And I'm talking about Golden State, of course, losing a 3-1 to Cleveland and LeBron, but also coming back from 3-1 in the conference final to win. So, against OKC. So I don't think it's a must-win. I think Indiana's going to win tonight. It doesn't mean the series is over, because Oklahoma City would still have games 5 and 7. This is not a 2-3-2 format. Would have 5 and 7 at home. By the way, look, I'm not saying I'm past the point of worried about picking the series. Most of the season, I thought Oklahoma City was the best team and would win the championship. There is something, and I don't use this with professional sports very often, this word I'm going to use now, magical, about the Indiana Pacers. It just is. This has the qualities of Hoosiers. My God, I'm from Illinois next door. I hate the Hoosiers nearly as much as I hate cheeseheads. But there is something magical about what the Hoosiers, what the Pacers are doing, Frank.
Not a fluke.
There's a chemistry now. There's a belief. There's a belief in the coach who has a touch with that group. I think they're going to win tonight, and then we'll see what happens when it goes back to OKC. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, he mentioned uncharacteristic. He's talking about the 19 turnovers. What's uncharacteristic is giving up 40 points in the second quarter, like OKC did, and then 32 in the fourth. They're too good of a team to be giving up 72 points over those quarters, especially in the fourth where they blew a lead. And how about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Only 3 points in that fourth quarter, and an adjustment that the Pacers made. They were picking him up. Everyone's talking about the pickup point. They were picking him up 65 feet from the hoop. That's never happened throughout his career. They have analytics and everything like this now today, something that, maybe 20 years ago we didn't talk about, but that was important. The minute a shot goes in from Indiana, the closest defender to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets right into his chest, which certainly caused a problem. I would go back to this for OKC. Second round against Denver, similar situation. Down 2-1 in the series, Game 4 on the road. That was the biggest test for them. They won the game. In fact, they trailed going into the fourth quarter. So I'm not going to say it's a must-win, because I think OKC, even if they were to lose tonight, I think they're going to win tonight. Even if they do, I think they'll go home Game 5. I think they'll be okay. And they know they got to get one road win. You don't win 68 games during the regular season if you don't know how to win on the road. I think they'll get one road game out of Indiana. I think it's going to happen tonight.
Real quickly to follow, the thing about the defense being played on SGA is it sustainable? Is it repeatable? This is what the special quality of the Pacers, I think. They have so many guys, interchangeable or damn close to it. And Carlisle knows how to employ them and when to play. And look, they're guys who got to have big games. Halliburton's got to do that again tonight at home, but he's got the energy of that place and that, man, we got some good Stanley Cup and NBA playoff finals going on right now. And now, time to fill in some blanks with Fill In Frank. What's first?
It's blank that the Knicks are reportedly pursuing Mike Brown and Taylor Jenkins.
Frank, when I first heard about this, I knew you would have an eye roll for us. It's just amazing that now the Knicks, who apparently, said their owner did this, and it leaves the executives going, why? What are we going to do now? But my word is perhaps fortuitous, believe it or not, because Mike Brown has won Coach of the Year twice. Mike Brown, not some chumpy, not just some dude. Taylor Jenkins, I know he doesn't have the, sort of rah-rah, the halo around his name or his reputation. I think he's probably right at 500. But he's had some knucklehead, teams in Memphis that have still won some games and been a threat, and God knows if those players were responsible, how far they might have gotten with Jenkins, who seems to me to be a damn good coach. So perhaps fortuitous, the Knicks could luck into somebody if they don't get one of the the glittering resumes that they're going after and told, no, stay away from my coach.
That's why I'm going to go with smokescreen on this one. On this program, this show was the first to say that Jason Kidd was the person of interest for the New York Knicks. I still think that's the case. You're right about this. You get Taylor Jenkins, terrific coach. Absolutely. John Morant didn't want him anymore in Memphis. That's why they got rid of him, which was unfair. And then Mike Brown, excellent coach, where he also got a raw deal in Sacramento. So I think the Knicks are going to end up clearly with a good coach because there are guys out there. What I like, at least with Taylor Jenkins and Mike Brown, they called two guys that aren't currently head coaches. I don't understand when your coaching search is, let's call Dallas, we'll call Houston, we'll call Chicago, we'll call Atlanta. You might as well call Eric Spoelstra. You might as well call Steve Kerr. I mean, I think it's all smokescreen. I think they want Jason Kidd, but like you said, you end up with Taylor Jenkins, you end up with Mike Brown. You could do a lot worse. A lot worse.
No doubt, Frank. And yes, they want Jason Kidd, and they probably are stunned not knowing what the situation is in Dallas anyway with all the variables they have, that somebody would say no. And then they're in this predicament. The Knicks could luck out here by getting either one of those guys, or there's some other candidates as well out there who should be given a head coaching job, I think, who've earned it. What's next?
Jacob Misiorowski's major league debut was blank.
Frank, it was Hobbesian. It's fictional. It's so great. I mean, this kid who's like 6'7", he's from Missouri because he's going show me. He had his people in the stands. He throws it 100 miles an hour, 14 pitches in all, over 100 in 5 innings plus, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. His first 3 pitches over 100. He goes to 102 at one point, and when he's up in the zone, people have no chance. I actually watched this, and he sprains his ankle. He rolls his ankle like he's in Madison Square Garden and he's in an NBA playoff game. And at 6'7", he's bigger than half the Warriors. It's amazing. Look, this kid's talent is amazing. He has such appeal to watch him. He looks like he's 9 years old, looks like Opie Taylor for those of us of a certain generation. I hate him already because he's a cheesehead, and I got to deal with Skeens, who I'm told by my special correspondent at Wrigley is tied up the Cubs today with nothing giving them nothing. And this kid, too, in the same division, is Hobbesian. I hate this.
Yeah. Look, Mike, in your rearview mirror, that's the Brewers. 5.5 back right now, so watch out. 5.5 back of your Chicago's Cubs. I'm going to go with adrenaline fueled because of what you mentioned with how hard he was throwing the ball. And how about the 5th pitch? 102.2, coincidentally enough, that's Mike's favorite jazz station in Chicago, 102.2. But he almost threw himself out of his body. His legs started hurting him. He was firing on all cylinders. You know, Paul Skeens last year, his debut, he went 4 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs. He topped out at 101.9. So this debut was even better than what Skeens did last year for Pittsburgh. So, you know what? I still remember, believe it or not, Mike, when Dwight Gooden made his debut and how much excitement there was around it. Now, back then, they let the guys go 7 or maybe 8 innings. But it's always great to see a guy that could throw like that. The only thing is, are we going to be worried eventually if we hear that name, Tommy John?
I know.
That's what you have to.
Frank, real quick, just to put a cap on this, I thought, though, watching him, and I watched every pitch that he threw, he can pitch. It's not just throwing. I don't want to hear the word Tommy John either, even for Cheesehead. I'm wishing that on anybody. And this kid just has such appeal. But, Frank, he was pitching. He's locating. He's spotting. He's doing things we associate with maybe Doc Gooden 35 years ago. I don't think it was just adrenaline and just hurling, you know? And that's what the really scary thing is, or the promising thing if you're the Brewers. Thanks. Happy anniversary, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. On this day in 1997, you kicked the ball out to Steve Kerr in the final episode. Final seconds of Game 6 against the Jazz. Kerr then hit the shot that sealed the Bulls' 5th title, saying of it, quote, "I thought to myself, well, I guess I gotta bail Michael out again," close quote. A year and a day after that, Jordan finished off The Last Dance, speaking of episodes, and Utah on his own. Some might say pushing aside Brian Russell, but I won't say that, and hitting one of the most iconic shots in basketball history. I wrote in the Washington Post, quote, "If that jump shot is to be the final shot of Jordan's incomparable career, it was the perfect coda, close quote. I was pretty good back then, Frank. And in the mind of this Bulls fan, it stands as such, despite Jordan's 2-year comeback with the Wizards.
I was sitting right near you for that game, and since we're giving, we had to hear what you wrote. I wrote for the New York Daily News. If this was Jordan's last act, he gave us a game for the ages and a thrilling last-minute sequence that ranks among the greatest moments in NBA Finals history. We kind of knew something was up.
We knew something was up. Now, we did enough back patting in that segment. We'll move on to happy trails, to the Nuggets. For Russell Westbrook, question mark. The Denver Post and Shams report that Westbrook plans to turn down his 1-year, $3.4 million player option, and explore free agency. 36-year-old averaged 13.6 dimes and 5 boards in his lone season in Denver, where he mostly backed up Jamal Murray. One caveat here, the vet minimum is expected to exceed $3.4 million, so Russ could potentially return to the Nuggets for more money, even if he signs for the vet minimum.
Why wouldn't he want to be back? He had a terrific year. He absolutely should go back to Denver and play with Jokic.
All right, here we go. We got to rush through the big finish. Shams again is reporting that the Kevin Durant trade could happen in the next few days. Are you excited?
It's going to happen. Rockets, Heat, maybe the Timberwolves. Winnipeg goalie Connor Hellebuck won the Vezina and Hart trophies last night. Is that a big deal?
How dumb is it to have that awards night against one of the great games in your sports history? Who knew about the other thing? Barring a setback, Caitlin Clark is reportedly ready to return to the Fever tomorrow against the Liberty. That's significant, isn't it?
Liberty are undefeated. They're undefeated. Caitlin Clark's going to play. I might stick around and watch it. The Giants visit the Dodgers for 3 starting tonight. Is that a big deal?
Huge deal. 1 game separating those two at the top of the NL West. Last one, soccer's Gold Cup this weekend. Any predictions?
I'm going with what your guest yesterday said. The U.S. better get to the final. 1-1 tie on Sunday. We're out of time. Thanks for watching. I'm Frank Isola.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Have a great weekend, knuckleheads. You can get the podcast or the app, where you tell. All right, Frank, you're there in Indianapolis. NBA Finals Game 4 tonight. Who you got?
I have a lot of faith in the Oklahoma City Thunder. Here's a team that won 68 games during the regular season, 13 in the playoffs, and one of those games, which for me is a defining moment. Game 4 in Denver, similar situation. Down 2-1 in the series, on the road. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was terrific in that fourth quarter. They found a way to win. SGA is going to have to play better. The last game, 6 turnovers, and he only had 3 points in that fourth quarter. Mark Dagnall talked about the performance being uncharacteristic for the whole team. He's talking about the 19 turnovers and giving up 40 points in the second quarter, 32 in the fourth. They're too good defensively for that to happen. I think they'll find a way. This is a huge night for Indiana. They've never been 1 win away from an NBA Finals. They get a win tonight, it changes everything. But OKC has already won 81 games this season. I have a lot of faith in them.
You know what, Frank? Questioning OKC isn't even part of my pick tonight. I'm picking the Indiana Pacers to win tonight. I'm not talking about the whole series yet. Tonight. We're isolating on who you got tonight. I got a lot of faith in what I'm seeing from the Pacers. I got a lot of faith in their star, Halliburton, and people get misguided. People think that folks just generally have 5, 6, 7 great games in one series. They don't. They go up and down, even the great stars, unless your names are Jordan, Bird, Magic, Kobe, LeBron, Shaq. They go up and down. They have some games that are great and some that aren't. And so we've seen Halliburton. They lost when he couldn't have a terrific game and didn't have the influence on the game like he had in game 3. So I think that Halliburton can do that again tonight. I don't know if he can do it the rest of the series. I think that diverse cast of characters understands how they fit around him and how they're to be utilized by their coach. And I think they have great faith in each other, particularly playing in that venue. And so I think Indiana right now, are they as good as Oklahoma City has been all season? No. But they're as good as Oklahoma City is right now. And I think that's all that matters. And I'm not trying to take a shot at OKC. I think OKC is playing pretty damn well, minus the turnovers, and I get that. Some of those stats you mentioned, some of those problem areas have been forced by a terrific Pacer team that no one wants to believe in just yet. We can only take one small market team at a time in America, particularly you New Yorkers. I'm ready for the Pacers to sort of see if they can test all that tonight.
Yeah. And it really has a chance to be one of the greatest playoff runs in history for Indiana because they knock off Giannis in the first round. The 64-win Cavaliers in the second round. The Knicks, who won 51 games, 2 more wins, and that's beating the 68-win OKC Thunder. That would be something else. That's it. We're done. Back to you.